So, Coffee Blurs, in lieu of new guests, to close out Black History Month, I thought I'd put together compilations of this podcast's greatest hits, which is just my favorite moments of the show so far. I've had some great conversations with some pretty fantastic coffee blurs. So most of the next 2 episodes will be highlights of the previous episodes that I thought were too precious to get rid of completely. With every guest in the show, we go deep, we have fun, we learn together, and through it all, I find more and more that despite my real life experiences, I'm not the only coffee blurred out there. I really hope you enjoyed these moments as much as I have. Happy Black History Month, y'all, and cheers.
What?
Hello?
Probably blurs the word. Let me pass you a cup. You're not caffeinated enough. Probably blurs the word. Let me pass you a cup. Not caffeinated enough.
Alright, so what qualifies a person to be a blurred? Can I get jumped in, or how's this work?
No, you know what? It's pretty easy. If you consider yourself to be a nerd on any topic, coffee or otherwise, and you are Black, you are a blurred.
I like that. That's really cool. Okay, I'm down.
Question: What is alright? So, would I be considered a coffee blurred? I don't know. I know you always say that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're coffee.
I don't know.
What coffee are you using?
Cafe Lux, Ethiopian Yirgacheffe, or Yirgacheffe if you're fancy.
Sorry, you're gonna have to say that again. I was had my grinder going.
Is that an 84 Ultima or a grinder? Like, what is that?
It's my little Barazza Virtuoso in gold grinder. I love it. It's not that loud. You just got your headphones in. What kind of coffee are you using?
I am using Onyx Cold Brew.
Ooh.
It has tasting notes of cocoa, dates, stone fruit, brown sugar, and it is round and creamy.
Wow. Okay, that's
Yeah, I ordered it with the Coffee Black collab that they did with Onyx, and I was like, you know what? I've never tried their cold brew, so I'm going to. And I've had it a couple times, and it is great.
Are you using T.O.'s coffee?
I am. Got that ear candy. Mm-hmm.
I am completely in love with his merging of sound and taste. Just that whole concept, I'm just like, wow, it's been my new thing. Do you know what framboise is? Or like, what? I've never seen that.
What? Framboise?
Framboise.
No.
Boys, bois. I'm not in that tax bracket yet.
No idea. No.
I'm learning. We're all learning. But nah, it's more approachable for sure.
Yeah, and I also, it definitely made me think that I've got some expanding of my palate to do.
Jazz-wise or coffee-wise?
Both, actually. Yeah, I listened to the whole playlist, and I don't usually listen to jazz, honestly, but there's some dope stuff in there. I like that there's a mix of songs that I was familiar with, and then new songs.
Working on a new playlist for this Tanzania that we're about to drop. Actually, I can't even take credit for the playlist. I have to give all credit to my guy Delvin at Equatorial Coffee. So did something really cool with this Tanzania, in that it's our first time working together. So we sourced the Tanzania through him, and as part of that whole collaborative effort, he's like, yo, can I get the keys to the playlist? And I was like, yeah, let's see what you got. Or actually, I approached him about it, and he's like, got excited. But came through with a dope playlist. So that was like one less thing to think about.
What I've been doing is sort of just like basically questioning all of the things that we say, like when you're brewing coffee. So what defines what's good? What defines what's bad?
I'm like not technical or scientific at all. I'm like, oh, that looks good. Let me just dump a little there. Good, right?
The industry seems to be so focused on, like precision and numbers. And it's like, it seems that the only reason, maybe not the only reason, but a big reason that that's the case where that like wins over everything else is because white people. And it's not the only way to do things.
I think I told you, like, I taste in color. So, like, doing cuppings has always been basically just a ridiculous time for me. Because I'm like, I'll be sitting at a table and literally people are, like, giving these, like, fruits I've never even heard of. And I'm like, is that the color purple or is that like a pink color? Because I have no idea. And then I would get like really intimidated and was like, this feels so much more technical than I'm just not that kind of person. So I was like, can we just like taste it and say if it's good or bad?
I used the word complexity to describe a coffee for the first time the other day. I did
virtual cupping and described it as Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I was like, this is like grape Kool-Aid. That's what it reminded me of like when I was a kid and it was packed full of sugar in a cup, and it was
I'm sure there's a more pretentious word out there we could call it, but he's like, look, it tastes like Kool-Aid. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm about to enter these stuffy, environments and like just kind of, impart some just not normalcy, but like just impart some just like general terms that people can connect to, like if relatable terms. If you like a black kid or just any kid growing up and like the sweet things that you tasted were like, everybody knows what Kool-Aid tastes like. Not everybody knows what black currant tastes like or something, you know what I'm saying? Like, what the heck is a currant? I still haven't had a currant.
Right, or right to your knowledge.
Yeah. But I do know what grape preserves from Cracker Barrel tastes like. The grape jelly. Like, I was describing that one day and I was like, that's what it tastes like, that Cracker Barrel, that really good jelly that, you ask for some more biscuits so you can take some home.
Okay, you know what it tastes like? This is gonna sound so dumb, but because it's what it is, it just tastes like coffee with water. Like, it just, it just, it's just kind of like, oh, okay, this is like coffee flavored water. That's what it tastes like to me.
Yeah, I feel that.
Like, I'm just like, I mean, it's not bad. It's just like, okay, I can drink it, but it's also like, it's like water. This coffee is so maroon. Yeah.
Okay.
Super maroon. But it's like, I don't know, definitely the refrigerated one has like a bolder taste than the one that was like room temp for me.
My theory was that the cold brew would have more flavor, like what you found, but that the room temp one would be stronger. I'm gonna do a blend of
Awesome.
Umuna from Burundi.
Nice.
With its notes of cherry and chocolate. And I'm gonna add a little bit of this, I never figured out how to pronounce the name, Stivers or Stivers. It's from a local roaster here in Chicago. From Colombian roast, but it is dark. It is dark.
Very cool.
What is the browning? What is that? You preheat
So you'll hear a term called like Maillard phase, Maillard reaction. So it's when you're going from like drying, you're coming out of your drying phase. So that's like the preheating. and you can manipulate how you develop a roast based on a couple things like what charge temperature you're dropping your beans at, how much heat you're applying during that initial roast. Like, is it a heat shock or is it a heat soak? And so that's kind of what we're doing here, is like we're saying we're not going to shock it with a bunch of water. We're going to let it soak in that, that first 50 grams for a minute. Let that soak, give it time to sort of acclimate itself. Let the grinds acclimate itself to the water and let it do its thing before forcing an immersion or a bath of water down its throat. so you know what I'm saying? Complete the brew. Okay. So what I'm hearing is that patience could result in a more pleasant cup. If you're patient about your pour over, you might get better results out of it. One thing that's interesting about like what you're drinking is I'm typically not a fan of like washed Ethiopias, because I feel like if I get an Ethiopia, I want Ethiopia natural. I feel like the washed Ethiopias just don't pack the flavor comparable to the naturals. So I tend to like turn my nose up at washed Ethiopias.
Okay.
Like, if I can get a natural,
I'm really just now starting to get a feel for like my preference between washed and natural seems to be the way to go. Although I don't, at least for me, I don't know like how it comes into play or how it factors in when you are doing that for like different types of coffees. Why Ethiopia? Why does that not really like do well for you with wash?
Well, I mean, it's just like when you taste the difference between an Ethiopian, or when you taste an Ethiopian natural, like if you're cupping and you have a side by side natural versus a wash process, I just feel like 9 times out of 10 the natural wins out. Like it just kind of it's very memorable. Like they're very memorable coffees.
In general across the border, just with Ethiopia.
Specifically with Ethiopians.
Okay.
But across the board, naturals. I just kind of, I guess I might be preferential towards naturals, but they're just the aroma is a lot sweeter. Like you get like much sweeter aromas. That translates well into the cup, where you get sweeter cups. So yeah, it for me, it's kind of like if I'm gonna get an Ethiopia, like I'll probably always prefer a natural.
Okay.
And there's only, I don't know, I'm not an expert on the processing kind of thing, but unless the infrastructure is there, you wouldn't be able to do just like not anybody or any region could do like natural process. So that's something that it isn't particular to like Ethiopian coffees, but it's very prominent, for Ethiopian coffees. I think Brazilian coffees, it's common to have natural process Brazilians. You can know what to expect from a coffee based on the elevation, essentially. Like your lower elevation coffees tend to not be as sweet or have those sweeter flavors. Yeah. So like your Brazilian coffees, low elevation like Sumatra, you're gonna get more kind of earthier notes. Whereas like high elevation coffees tend to be either like sweeter or more acidic, like the high elevation Kenyas. And then kind of in the middle is where you can have like your Guatemalas and stuff like that, where it's kind of more even, more rounded out sweetness and acidity.
So Erica brought up the filter difference to me, because right now I just got the Stag Brewer.
Okay.
So many experiments. Wow, this is going to be an interesting year. I got the Stag Brewer because I saw that something about heating up your brewer while heating up your water. And I have the Clyde kettle, and the Stag brewer fits inside of it when I'm heating the water up. So that was one experiment to check out. Okay. And then Erica sent me down this rabbit hole on filters, how the Kalita filters are better than the Stag filters. And so now that's a whole other thing too.
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. What the diggity food? Okay.
I take it there's a difference.
1.6.
Wait, you mentioned the TDS?
Yeah.
What was the other one?
1.29.
Oh, shit.
So no, I'm sorry, 1.3. 1.3 and 1.6. 2.0 on the brick. Yeah, this is way sweeter. This is way more balanced. It doesn't have that gritty flavor. This is no fine, right?
Right. Yeah.
Wow, what a tremendous difference.
Yeah, I like this. This is
way more clarity. The acidity is. This is a different coffee. Wow. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be this excited.
No, you should be. If you weren't excited, I don't know if I want you on the show.
Listen, lady, I am a gamer. I am not afraid of you, okay? We can have a digital fight, but you're not going to scare me away.
A fight? Was it? Damn, you escalated that. I wasn't trying to get in a fight.
Oh,
I'm just talking.
Like, I'm trying to kick you off the show. Like, I don't want to fight you. Like,
I was just talking. Damn.
I'm just messing with you. No, most definitely. I am not
trying to fight you now.
I don't fight women. I threaten it, but I wouldn't do it. Yeah, this was good. I like this actually. This is really here.
It's the sad truth. It's harder when you're Black. But we can make it easier for the younger Black baristas, the younger Black like roasters, the younger Black like people who are going to come into this industry. We can make it easier on them if we're like, all right, we'll figure out how to share this information, how to like, mentor people, how to be more greedy, you know? Like if anybody asks me anything, I'm like, yes, please take this. And at a certain point, they're trying to run away. And I'm like, no, wait, hang on. I want this. I want to give you this too.
Because there's that natural camaraderie. Like I always say, I'm like, our joy hits different. Like our joy is so different in like the best way that it's like, we're loud with it because like that's what joy is supposed to be. I had a customer once that he always, every time he came in, he always would order 2 espressos, but he wanted them like delivered like 7 minutes apart because he wanted to enjoy his first one and then he wanted you to bring his next one. Well, I took him his first one and he looks at me and he was like, can you please have someone else bring me my next one? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, is something wrong with this one? Like, I'm thinking like something's wrong with like the way it looks or something. And he was just like, I don't feel comfortable with you serving me. I know what that means. So I go back behind the bar and I was like, I was like, somebody else need to take that man his coffee because I'm not the one. And that's exactly how I said it. And they were like, what's going on? It's like, he doesn't feel comfortable with me serving him. And that's all I said. And they were just like, was there something wrong with the coffee? Like, why would anybody ever say that? Like, what's, and I'm like, he's racist. Like it was really pretty blatant, but they were all just like, no, there's no way.
I ain't feeling as comfortable as I should feel in a lot of these places that I go, like, cause just being myself and with a group of my friends and all that, it always felt awkward. And I used to live in Fort Greene, which is some like Fort Greene is like a stroller, hipstery, whatever area. So then I love going to coffee shops. So you go in there and it's like you feel awkward. Like
whenever I walk in, people would be like, "Oh, you're actually pretty smart," and I'm like, "Yeah, thanks." I don't know. I like that feeling when they notice and it's almost like they're missing out, right? If there's people like after that who still try to write me off, then that means I don't want to be around them in the first place. If you're good enough, people will notice, right? So even if I have to work 3 times harder, like which I basically had to, right? Like, you know, the amount of work that I had to put in, I just put in like way more than I expected, or way more that was expected of me, and I had to like basically prove, hey, I'm good.
When you are a person of color in particular, there's like an extra layer or obstacle kind of holding that down, keeping that part of you kind of under wraps, because you, at least in some cases, you're more aware, you have to be more aware usually of how people perceive you, from like a safety aspect to just like work environment, job safety.
It's motivation for you to like say, hey, even though you write me off, I'm gonna do it anyway. And sometimes it doesn't look exactly how you imagine at the beginning, but like what does?
I'm very hireable, but I think like if I were to step back into like customer facing job, I would need to like let whoever was hiring me know. I'm like, if someone is rude, like if I'm not being treated like a human, I'm going to let them know. So the customer is not always right because
You know, it's funny because there's no uniform Black culture. So within the coffee community, you have a cadre of different Black people from different cultures that now feel like, oh, how do we homogenize to one group? That's a very difficult task. But I think individually, if we all find different avenues or aspects to communicate so that we can learn from each other, we can kind of create our own new culture.
Hey, yes. I look up a lot of coffee videos on YouTube, and I did not see anything that was of a culture that I am the most comfortable with.
This is the difficult part. Race and culture are two different things. Like when you first brought up being Black and coffee to me, the first thing I thought about was like, I'm from LA, you from Chicago. The Black Panther movement has had a huge impact on education systems for Blacks in both of those cities. So how do you enter into a market of something that's agricultural as an educational base, and we don't see any of the representation that both of us recognize in the cities that we're from? I guess it kind of boils down to information. Like, I'm not gonna lie, when I first started, it was just more people that I knew that were not Black that had information and equipment. It was just, the thing is, like, I was the only Black person that I knew that was into it when I got into it. And I think the bigger thing was just like, there's no one Black culture. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's different types of culture. And, like, coming from LA, I had seen a different side of culture than the culture I was walking into. So, the weird part was, like, I don't know how many other cities have, like, their school system set up where, like, you have these pockets of, like, super hood areas that have these specialized school programs. But, like, LA has these spots where, like, you got some gangbanging doctors. Like, seriously, it's very different. From a cultural standpoint, it was very weird because I was able to connect with people on the educational side because I was really into science my whole life. So whenever it got down to a conversation on science, I was an equal in the room.
And to them, everyone else was down here. It's like, what? This doesn't make sense.
Exactly what I'm saying. It's way different when it's like, I'm not waiting for you to regurgitate to me when someone told you for me to feel like this is all that there is to know about this. Like, once I start searching and I see like, oh, it's like, part of my French, but it's like, wow, I did the research and then I found you don't know shit. Like, that's the first thing you see. Like, wow, okay. Most of this is, like, let's take a bit of information. Let's make it seem exclusive now. And then it's like, we can't even tell you where that information came from.
Yeah.
It's funny because as you're speaking about it, if I'm honest with you, I can't say it's just of the Nordic background. But this is where I'm like, it's just like, as a Black man, I gotta always come in there one way. Like, I have to, if I don't fit the narrative enough, you feel uncomfortable. If I feel it too much, you feel uncomfortable. So it's like, I have to like teeter that line. But I was gonna say, do you feel like you've ever experienced the same thing within the Asian culture?
You know what? I don't know that I haven't worked enough with Asians to know that, to be able to answer that. Hispanic, a bit, yes. I'm trying to reach back in my memory bank, I pretty much mostly just work with the pigments.
You've been pretty much in like a Nordic lifestyle. Like that's pretty much how you just been okay.
Yeah.
Not as.
But you're probably right. It probably isn't just constrained to Nordic folks. Yeah, I don't know. I probably unfairly attach that to them because that's who I have the most experience with. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's not true. You're 100% right.
Be like, yo, why are we gonna spend our money here? Y'all just trying to save face to be like, yeah, we're part of the community. And that happened during the summer a lot, especially with the protests, the pandemic. That was happening a lot where they're like, yeah, we're with you guys. But then you guys are like, nah. So yeah, we're really seeing where the money goes. And then goes back to the community, which that is gonna change that should change, that should create education back in the community, different things. So that money going back in the community should try to change the dynamics or whatever. Hopefully, of America.
The creativity that comes with anger. Austin Channing Brown talks a lot about creative anger, but also it can be overwhelming. And we need people in our lives to ground us and to reassure us and to help us chill and have fun and smile and laugh. And remember that there are things about life that are enjoyable.
Well, I'm kind of questioning Kenzo's technique. I feel like I see a dry grind.
A single
grind that looks like it wasn't properly.
You know what?
Especially these dark parlors, man. Require so much focus and attention to detail. Who came up with portal? I decided, man, I'm about to gravity drain this in a cone. You know what I mean? We can't do it. So I think, all right, my history, if I know correctly, if I remember correctly, Kim X is German. B60s are Japanese, of course. I think this might be Japanese. Yeah, Japan. AeroPress is American. I guess French press is French.
Right.
It's culturally appropriating. I'm calling it French press and it's not French. But I think it's fascinating, the elegance of a Japanese pour over versus the just not elegant look of an AeroPress. It's just kind of very functional.
Yeah. It took me a while to like the AeroPress.
I'm still kind of on the fence about it. It's just I don't like all these parts. How often do I really need an on the go, pour, brewing method,
How's that new grinder working out?
I love Tony. He's the only coffee bro I'm gonna keep around.
Man, that's awesome. We got the same one.
We do? Virtuoso Plus?
Hey.
Nice.
I feel like I need to give mine a name. Yours is Tony Stark, right?
Yeah. Not Iron Man. Tony Stark. To be exact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Important distinction.
Important distinction. Very, very important.
Mine. Let's see. Great. My gold baby. That was a struggle to get this over here.
I was like, you're gonna bring the whole thing over, okay?
I was worried, man. I did drop. You know what? This is, I guess, a testament to this grinder. I dropped it.
Oh, Tony.
Yeah.
You dropped your grinder?
I dropped it while I was filming my Glitter Cat presentation. I know. And you know what? She's still here.
Well,
Still here. Maybe mine should be Bumblebee.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll go.
Ultimate coffee nerd shirt. I'm like,
oh man. Okay.
man, who else has caffeine symbol on their bodies, whether it's a shirt or a tattoo? I think Kellen actually has a caffeine tattoo.
Wait, who does?
Kellen?
He has a caffeine tattoo?
Yeah.
Damn.
Man, that man didn't tell you anything about his life. He just interviewed you, huh?
Yeah. I knew that I was talking to someone who knew their shit, like a coffee expert, but yeah, I didn't know the depth of it.
He's pretty committed to what he does.
Not enough of the people that I've worked with anyway know that there's a whole group of people out there with melanated skin that know their shit when it comes to coffee.
Yep, we're out here.
All right, enjoy the day, enjoy the week. Don't stress. Always remember, you're doing better than them, so let them be mad.
All right, cool. I'll take that. Cheers.